Hi, Scott, Machine Gun Dad. Since we shot the C96 and I just told you about the new stock I bought an extra stock so I could put it on my original German Mauser that I had to have the barrel re-sleeved. So Nick and I shot this today. We only shot 10 rounds each. Actually, I didn't even get 10 rounds. Let me show you the shooting and we'll be back to talk about it. That should be 10. Just broke. All right, you saw us shooting it. Nick had what, one failure to feed? Yeah, and I had all kinds of freaking problems where I got a dead trigger. So first of all, let's talk about shooting it, and then we'll talk about the dead trigger.
Yeah. Shooting the Mauser itself is really comfortable. Again, great stock on it. It actually functions correctly. It's outstanding. It shot right where I was aiming it. I don't know if you had the same experience, but as soon as I put the sights on, it would plink the whole time. Again, I am an idiot and didn't listen to Scott, so I didn't move my thumb out of the way. I got bit once while shooting it, but if you're smart and listen to the guy who shot the gun, it won't end up biting you. The trigger was really nice until it stopped working. I only had one failure to feed, and that was just because, like he said in a previous video, the ammo that we were using, it seems like it was trying to double feed. It was really hot, so it was blasting the bolt back really fast. It could have been knocking a round up, and as it tried to feed the next round, it was canted a little up and rammed into the top of the barrel face. But other than that, the gun's great. It's got good weight. I like how light it is, and the stock makes it an amazing shoot. Plus, it's basically Han Solo's blaster for the nerds out there.
Yeah. When the trigger dried, when the trigger stopped working, it was the ball and I was shooting. I guess I got a 4 or 5 and it stopped working. Nick's right. I've never been able to hit with this gun, and I put this stock on it, and it was easy to hit with. After we came in, we stopped filming outside. First of all, it's freaking cold. We're going to let it warm up a little bit, but I wanted to see what was wrong. And I took it apart, and there inside the Mauser, if you're familiar, there is a little spring. It looks like this, and has a pin like here, but it looks like this, and that is your trigger bar reset spring. And I've broken them before. That's a very fragile spring. So I thought it snapped off. So when we watched a video on how to take this apart, because I haven't taken this apart since, let's see, 2009. So this has been on my wall since 2009. Unfired, untouched. So we took it apart, and to be truthful, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. The spring wasn't broken. I'm like, wow, we'll just... And I put it back together, and it still didn't work. And I'm like, I know the parts aren't broken. We just had it apart. Put it back together. It still wouldn't work. Take it apart. Under the trigger bar, it's a bar that sits in there and just rotates like this. I inadvertently knocked it out. It was rusty. So we took that apart, slipped 2000 it, worked it back and forth. Put it back together, still wouldn't work. The safety was sticking. It was jumping out of fire, and it wasn't allowing the trigger to go forward. So what was happening, it wouldn't allow the gun to fire. Now I've redone the safety, I lubed it up. See, still won't work. But If I pull back, push this down, it works. There's a little bit of friction inside here that you need the motion of the top half sliding all the way forward, the bolt going forward. The locking mechanism inside is dragging because the gun's dry. It never gets shot. So remember, point of parliamentary procedure. You got one of these things, you can't let them sit on the wall. This is the most complicated gun I think I've ever taken apart, was a handgun. There are so many moving parts in this gun. The lock, the safety, all like 5 different springs, the trigger bar, the trigger and a spring for the trigger is in the lower. The disassembly latch, the firing pin and the spring and the recoil spring are captive in the bolt. I'm sure in 1896 this was really cool. In 2025, this is like looking at a Model T. You're like, I don't know how it worked. I don't know how they ever got it to think that if you got dirt in there that this would actually function. Looking back, and I wasn't going to go there on this gun, but looking back at having shot this one in the Chinese gun, this is an absolutely terrible combat weapon compared to a Luger.
They did upgrade to the Luger for a reason.
And certainly compared to the 1911, which came out, granted it did come out 10 years later, but these guns are really cool. And if they shoot, they're fun, but they belong on the wall. I wouldn't even make this a regular range toy. I think it's too fragile.
Especially with it being, around 130 some odd years old.
Yeah.
If it breaks, good luck.
There are, if you have an actual one, the Chinese one is different, but the German ones, there are parts readily available for these. The problem is they're expensive. You have to be patient, but you can actually, I don't think you need any tools to replace any of the parts. It's just, you have one, shoot it, enjoy it, understand it's going to fuck you probably every time you take it to the range. It's going to stop working. Unless you shoot it all the time, you keep it constantly lubricated and everything, and you're used to the manual arms. It's got a really funky manual arms. When we shot it, Nick did that, 2-3 times? Mm-hmm. And then what's funny is, if you watch the video, I don't know if it was this one or the Chinese, he did this, hammer hit him, so he did this, and then the gun jammed, and he cleared it, and then he went back to that, and he got hit again. So, weird manual of arms, neat piece of history. Don't screw one over to make it into a Han Solo bolt blaster by an airsoft gun to do that. There aren't that many of these left. Thanks for coming to the channel. Thanks for listening to us ramble. Like, subscribe, comment. I do read the comments. Thanks again.